Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Marla Billinghurst. I will be chairing the panel this evening. I don't know what time it is. To my left is Mr. Brent McIntyre, and to my far left is Mr. Richard Whitbread. Our assessor this evening is Miss Brittany Santucci, and our recording secretary is Miss Katie Sutherland. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the other applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony, followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. The first matter on the docket this evening is 216 Regent Avenue West.
Do you swear or unswear? Swear. Please state your name. Brittany Santucci. Do you swear that the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you. Please state your name. Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Please proceed when you're ready.
Thank you. This is file number 19-2401. Roll number 090002811100. Address is 216 Regent Avenue West. This is a vacant commercial land property. It's zone C2, and the land area is 2,850 square feet. If you turn to page 2, I have some aerial and exterior photos of the property. So it is in between two buildings, and it actually is the same ownership as the building located at 218 Regent Avenue West, and they use it for parking. The building that is owned by the same owner, they need per square foot, per every 250 square foot of their building, about one space, and currently they only have about 3, so they do use this lot as required by the zoning bylaw. They need about 8 stalls. There's no subject sale history. On page 3, I have the land valuation workup by the model, which produced a net rate of $38.60 per square foot. I have some land sale comparables. I have 5 of them. They are the first 4 larger than the subject property, and the bottom one is the closest, and it's located in Elmwood, though. Comparable 1 is located on Regent, and the sale price per square foot was $30.16. And the next 2 properties in Regent were around the $30 mark. So after taking into account the comparables and that it is used for required parking, my recommendation today is to maintain the 2020 assessed value from the to reduce the value from the $110,000 to $70,000 using $24.54 a square foot. That's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're in agreement with the $70,000 recommendation.
Okay. let us make a note for 1 minute then.
What was your square footage?
This one is 2,800.
The new square
The
footage.
new square footage was $24.56.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. The next matter on the docket is 205 Bond Street.
This is file number 19-1842, roll number 09000271200, address 205 Bond Street. Again, this is a vacant commercial lot. The zoning is C2, and the land area is 4,623 square feet. If you turn to page 2, you can see some aerial shots of the parking lot here. It is used as extra parking for the bank located at address 200 there, Regent Avenue West. There's no recent subject sale history. If you turn to page 3, we have the land valuation summary. So with this, they added in on the cost of fence and paved asphalt for $4,000. And the land works out to the model net rate of $30.28 a square feet. I have the same comparables I had for the previous property, located in the northeast quadrant of the city. So for this property, my recommendation is to reduce the 2020 assessed value of $144,000 to $134,000, which works out to $28.99 a square foot. Thank you, that's my presentation.
Agreement?
Thank you. The next property is located on Ravenhurst Streets.
This is file number 19-1945, roll number 09010398200, address Ravenhurst Street. This is a vacant commercial lot, a larger one. Land area is 41,907 square feet. This is zone C2. If you turn to page 2, we have some aerial shots of the lot. So there is actually no C2 development currently in this area, and when I turn to page 3 here, I'll talk about the comparables I used. So there's no subject sale history as well. So page 3, the land valuation summary. Our model net rate per square foot is $5.51. We thought this would be better suited to more of a vacant residential. So my land sale comparables, I used those. And the comparables 1 to 5, they range from $13.78 to $15.05 a square foot. The oldest ones are comparables 1 and 2, and the newest ones are 4 and 5. I tried to pick similar land size per square foot and close to the subject property. And then I just have pictures of the comparables on pages 3 and pages 4. So I think the only one is comparable one's a bit of a different shape. Other than that, similar shapes located in residential areas. My recommendation today is to maintain the 2020 assessed value of $231,000. Thank you, that's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reimer, do you have questions for these?
Just a couple of questions. Thanks, Madam Chair. So Ms. Santucci, on page 3 then, the comparables that you've got, these were all service parcels?
Yes.
Okay, the subject is not service, correct?
From my understanding, when I looked through our system, there was service lines. I'm not sure if that was just what I could see from our aerial shots.
Okay, I guess it, well, I'll get into
They-
it in my,
they could be.
the frontage, it looks like there may be services coming up to
The
the
Yeah.
That they have to run further along and then into the property
Okay.
because there's no frontage that I'm aware of. Okay,
Mhm.
that's okay. But to be clear then, because actually there's a higher degree of consistency in what you perceive the land to be than I think there had been previously, is the department then, given your land sales comps, is the department then in agreement with us that the subject should properly, or would properly be more, there's more development potential in a multifamily type of use?
Yes.
Okay, that's an important consideration, and I would agree with you on that, actually. So, Madam Chair, those are my questions, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Whitford.
No questions, thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
Nor do I, so please proceed with your
Thanks, Madam Chair,
presentation.
this is going to be very brief. Initially, I asked about the servicing, could I please ask the board members and Ms. Santucci to turn to page 10? I think that right now, there's no frontage measurements for lines, and I believe that's because, and I'm not entirely certain, but I believe that the services might come up to the corner of the lot, but they would have to be punched in further to the south and then into, of course, the property that was developed. So that was the question relating to the services. I think there's some costs that would need to be incurred. The more interesting discussion though, and I'm actually, I very much appreciate Ms. Santucci's evidence and the approach of the assessor in this case, because a little while back, we had the 2019 supplementary assessment in appeal, and actually the debate in that hearing was entirely about classification, and we've been suggesting that because of the complete lack of demand on the commercial side, that it'd be appropriate to the intent of this parcel, and I'll be, as of the reference date, it was clear there was no commercial demand, and it was also clear based on the application for a conditional use for the parcel directly across the street, which is almost a mirror image of the subject parcel, that the conditional use requested was to have multifamily development on it. The subjects, and to that extent exactly, I'm agreeing with the department's position now, Ms. Santucci's evidence, this is a parcel of land that will undoubtedly be developed as multifamily, not as commercial. So my request, as far as assessed value goes, is simply this. The assessed value for the subject as commercial parcel, and that's what we're valuing here today, it's a C2 commercial parcel. As of the reference date, it was also a commercial parcel. That value should not, in our respectful opinion, have gone up from the 199,000 that it had been for 2019. So our request, quite simply, and this is now on page 8 of our materials. Our request very simply is to have the value reduced from 231,000 to the 199,000, and I guess the interesting question here is what we're assessing is a C2 parcel, and it's commercially taxed, it's commercially zoned, commercially taxed, and I'm going to suggest if the classification had been changed to residential, we probably wouldn't be here, but as a commercial site, I'm suggesting there shouldn't have been an increase from 199,000, and therefore request that the board order a reduction to the value of 199,000, again, treating this property as a commercially zoned property for the time being. And in light of the department's submission concerning the potential for residential use, I think we'll approach them again concerning the previous discussions that were held on that point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Santucci, do you have questions?
The only question I have is if they've applied to change the zoning at all.
Everything that happened relating to the subject was, the last time I spoke with them, which is, this would have been for the 2019 sub, it was in process, and certainly post-reference, which is why I didn't want to submit a bunch of stuff.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitford.
Can you tell me what Novamet Development Corporation is?
They are a land developer.
What do they develop? Land,
Well,
but what do they build?
Novamet is the developer of the land, and they will typically be residential, historically residential development, but ancillary commercial purposes as well, right?
Give me some examples.
So, well, it's not Novamet as such, but take Sage Creek, for example, which is Qualico. They would be very similar, where they've got huge numbers of single-family residential parcels mixed with some more intensive multifamily use, mixed again with that commercial development that's right at the corner of Lash and Sage Creek. So it's a combination of when you're talking about the land development, it's a combination of single-family, multifamily, and commercial development. In the case of the subject, it became very clear that what was initially designated as commercial in the land planning, the demand simply wasn't there, hence the lack of development.
But do they do gas stations, corner stores?
Well, no, so they are not a commercial, they're developing the land, they're not building the buildings, okay? So with the, for instance, on the single-family sites, they will get the residential builders, the A&S Homes of the world, and the, okay? And in terms of the commercial buildings, they'll get, I don't know, pre-cons, and they'll get the commercial contractors to build the buildings.
Okay, I've got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
No, do I?
Thank you.
Thank you. I guess I should, is there a need for summary? Sorry, I didn't ask that on the last couple.
We're okay?
I figured there wouldn't be, but
Indeed.
I don't want to assume anything. The next property is, where are we? Oh, here, okay. There's no actual address, so we will go with the roll number ending in 900. Does that help?
800? 8,000?
8,000.
8,000.
Casey, I'm on the wrong one?
Oh, I think you're looking at the owner there, the 900 below.
Oh, owner
Yeah.
taxable party, see, thank you, okay, you corrected, thank you. Yes, it's roll number, how about I'll just read it? RA 14060138000, just so we know we're on the right one, that I'm on the right one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So file number 19-2388. The address we had in our system was just Main Street. Again,
Okay.
roll number 14060138000. This is a vacant commercial lot. Zone C2, and the land area is 6,340 square feet. If you turn to page 2, I have some aerial shots. It's a narrow lot that fronts onto Main Street. There was a sale, the most recent, there's been a few sales. The most recent one was about 9 years ago, and it was for $15.77 a square foot, and the total value was $100,000. I turn to page 3, I have our model rate per square foot, which is $23.82, and I have some land sales located on Main Street, and then a few on Selkirk Avenue. They range from $12.38 to $29.95. After reviewing the comparables, my recommendation is, further reviewing the comparables and the appellant's brief, my recommendation is to reduce the 2020 assessed value of $151,000 to $136,000 using $21.45 a square foot approximately. And that's my presentation. Thank you. Mr. Rep.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next property is located on Portage Avenue.
Thank you. This is file number 19-3613, roll number 07569018600. Address Portage Avenue. This is a vacant commercial lot, zone C2, and a land area of 2,775 square feet. If you turn to page 2, I have an aerial shot of the lot. Again, this is a narrow lot, frontage on Portage. The most recent subject sale for this was 14 years ago for $46,500, which works out to $16.76 a square foot. If you turn to page 3, I have my land valuation summary. Our model net rate per square foot is $56.94. My land sales sale comparables, I have 3 located on Portage Avenue. These would be considered superior for potential development. These all have larger frontages, and they range from $37.39 to $43.96. After reviewing all the evidence, my recommendation today is to reduce the 2020 assessed value from the $150,000 to $111,000, which works out to $40 a square foot. Thank you, that's my presentation.
We're in agreement.
Thank you. next one is 1815 Portage Avenue.
This is file number 19-3611, roll number 07569018500, address 1815 Portage Avenue. This is a vacant commercial lot, zone C2. The land area is 2,774 square feet. If you turn to page 2, this lot's located adjacent to the property we just discussed. Again, smaller frontage on Portage Avenue, also sold 14 years ago for the same price and the same per square foot of the $16.76. On page 3, the model per square foot rate applied to this property was $63.09. Same comparables, and based on reviewing the evidence, my recommendation today is to reduce the 2020 assessed value of $175,000 to $111,000 using $40 a square foot to match the previous one. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
We're in agreement?
Thank you very much. Okay, the next property is 1339 Notre Dame Avenue.
This is file number 19-3635, roll number 13060504000, address 1339 Notre Dame Avenue. This is a vacant commercial lot, zone C1. The land area is 4,116 square feet. If you turn to page 2, you can see the aerial shots of the photo. It's located on Notre Dame near Weston. There's no subject sale history. On page 3, the net rate per square foot generated by our model was $43.25, which was quite high compared to my land sale comparables I could find. I have 4 comparables here. They range from $15.84 to $34.22. All similar land size. I tried to find ones located closest to the subject property. If you flip back to page 1, my recommendation today was to reduce the 2020 assessed value from the $178,000 to $116,000 based on $28.19 a square foot. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Sorry, what was the square foot?
The value $116,000 and based on $28.19 a square foot.
We're in agreement?
Can I just ask a somewhat general question? What's the difference between C1 and C2? Is it just lot size or?
It's depending what could be developed
Oh,
on the
okay.
property. I have my little zoning cheat sheet here. C1 is to accommodate smaller compact commercial uses in or within a surrounded residential area.
Oh,
So
okay.
there might be a bit more
Okay, so this one is clearly.
restrictions
More of a
compared to some of the
residential
others.
area?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would agree with those comments. If you, as you pull up C1, C2, C3, C4, it's generally more intensive type of uses. The C3s and C4s are typically on the major thoroughfares, that kind of thing, so consistent with that.
Okay, thanks. Just wondering. Thank you. I'm sure you knew that already, but.
Maybe.
The next matter is 175 Donald Street.
This is file number 19-2383. Roll number 12093347000, address 175 Donald Street. This is a vacant commercial lot. The zoning is M, multiple use in the downtown. The land area is 3,025 square feet. You turn to page 2, I have an aerial shot of the lot. It's a very narrow lot located on Donald Street in between St. Mary Ave and York Avenue. There was previously a building on here, an older building that was torn down. There's no subject sale history. On page 3, I have the land valuation summary, which shows the modeled net rates per square foot of $95.54. My land sale comparables are larger than the subject property. Comparables 1, 2, and 4 closest, but still double the size. I tried to pick the most recent sales. The sales price per square foot ranges from $66.64 to all the way up to $142.28. And photos of the comparables, I have comparable 1 has a bit more frontage, located on Gary. Comparable 2 is located on Carlton, again a bit more of a frontage. Comparable 3 is located on St. Mary. It had a building on it that was set to be demolished with the sale. That one's got a larger frontage. And comparable 4 on Hargrave. It's a smaller lot as well. Again, more frontage on the subject. My recommendation today is to just maintain the 2020 assessed value of the $289,000. Thank you, that's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reimer, do you have questions?
Thanks, Madam Chair. So Ms. Santucci, we can agree, and you referred to the frontage, and actually that's going to be the pivotal point, I think, in this case. We can agree that the subject's frontage is 25 feet, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And based on zoning requirements and based on requirements relating even to parking, development of the subject is virtually non-existent for anything other than some parking, correct?
Yes.
And with parking, did you have, and I'll just ask the question, did you have a chance to review then the capability of the subject relating to a parking use given the requirements of the downtown zoning bylaw?
I didn't review how much parking could be on there. I didn't know if they would be allowed to even have a parking lot on there due to the
Right.
fact that they'd have to apply. And
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I'll go through some of that. Now then, going to page 3, the comparables, and you've alluded to it that each of these comparables had significantly more than 25 feet as the subject does.
Yes.
Comparable number 1, and if you don't have the record in front of you, that's okay, because I've got some evidence, but I believe that frontage is 50 feet with comparable number 1. Would you agree with that, or do you know?
I think it was about double.
Okay, so, okay. Comparable number 2, the property on Carlton, I couldn't find that one, but I found some related documents that I'll submit in rebuttal. I believe the frontage on that was also 50 feet.
Yes.
Okay. And then 505 St. Mary Avenue, the frontage of that one is 116 feet, correct?
Yes.
And for 44 Hargrave, again, based on the research that I've done, I believe that frontage at the time that it sold was 50 feet.
Yes.
Madam Chair, those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread?
No questions. Thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
Nor do I, so please proceed with your presentation.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So the key, and if one looks at Ms. Santucci's, the evidence she's prepared in and of itself, the sales data that was presented would certainly indicate a value as close to the value that the department's assessed, but the difficulty is this, and this is, as I mentioned, the crux of the issue. This parcel has 25 feet of frontage, and it's virtually impossible, even as a parking use, it's exceptionally limited because of the extremely narrow frontage of only 25 feet for the subject. So that is an overriding factor, and Ms. Santucci and I both agree that's a negative, significantly negative factor. I guess the question is how to quantify that. So if you turn initially to our page 3 of our materials, this is just an overhead shot of the parcel. As you can see, it's just a wee little narrow strip of land, 25 feet frontage, actually with backlane access. It has frontage on Donald Street. The total site area is, as mentioned by Ms. Santucci, is just over 3,000 square feet. So then turning to page 7, and what I had, if board members will recall, what I'd asked Ms. Santucci related to specifically the parking the feasibility of even developing this as parking, and Ms. Santucci was very forthright. I mean, you have to apply for it, and that has not been done, and there's a reason for that, because even as a parking lot, the viability is in question. The middle of that page is the excerpt from the zoning bylaw relating to the parking, and as you can see, this, if parking was going to be granted, the access would be through the back lane, so it would have to be a two-way minimum. You'd have a two-way aisleway, which then, if you look in the middle of that zoning excerpt, you have to have an aisleway that's 20 feet wide. Well, if you recall, the parcel is only 25 feet wide, which means it couldn't even meet the minimum width for parking stalls, even at parallel parking. If you were parking sort of in an east-west orientation right along the side of the building, that is to the south of the subject, you could basically fit 7 vehicles, but even then, because the stalls have to be 8 feet wide, with the 20-foot aisle minimum, now you're at 28 feet, and that's 3 feet more than the subject's width. So everything on this parcel is just, there's virtually no possibility of independent development. So based upon that, and we've got some sales at the bottom of page 7, relating to some other parcels of land, but I guess my suggestion would be, and I've attached some of the sales data or sales details there. My suggestion is going to be this. If you turn to page 33 of our materials. This is the board's order from the previous 2018, 2019, or I guess the 2019 assessment, where this board reduced the assessed value to a value of $106,000. So the $106,000, I'm asking this evening for a total assessment of $121,000. So that's still call it a 12% increase, but it's based on a rate of $40 per square foot. The $40, in my respectful opinion, properly reflects the fact that this lot really only has value to one of two parties, either to the building to the south, but even for them, and because of those requirements I just mentioned, even for parking, it's exceptionally limited and not likely to be worthwhile. So then what you're left with, and I'll go back briefly now, if you look at our page 3, to the north of the subject, there's an existing parking lot. So if somehow, the only sort of outside chances if somehow the parking stalls and the aisle widths in that lot were oriented such that this little narrow 25-foot strip could be used, feasibly used for parking, there's a possibility they would buy it, but as I say, it's extremely limited, and therefore we're suggesting a very much discounted rate of $40 a square foot. The $40 is consistent with, or certainly within the range of our sales comparables that we've got on the chart on page 7, at the bottom of page 7. These are, CMPSP is the code for surface parking lots. So these are surface parking lot sales in the downtown and the periphery of the downtown that sold between $20 and 8 cents a square foot up to $84.10 a square foot. Our suggested value of $40 is admittedly at the lower end of that scale, but it's very much due to the fact that with the 25-foot frontage, there's just virtually nothing that this lot can feasibly be used for, and therefore we're asking this board to order a reduction to $121,000 for the 2020 assessment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Santucci, do you have any questions?
Now the question is, have they ever applied to try and change it to parking?
I think because of those requirements and the cost of paving, and they're not going to allow gravel lot, so they have to pave it. They have to do the things for the parking lot itself. I don't think it's feasible for that. So I don't believe they would bother at this stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McBride.
No questions.
Mr. McIntyre?
No questions.
I have no questions either.
Thank you all very much.
Is there a need for summary? Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'll now close the hearing. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you both.
Thank you.